you're talking about it,
Hey, how you doing?
Let me tell you something.
They know this is coming. They've lost control.
they are too. Bernie and Sid in the morning.
This is the big story.
Talk Radio 77 WABC.
So every day from noon to 3, Curtis, Sliwa, and Julian Huddy do a tremendous job. Curtis has been doing a tremendous job for a long time. In fact, when the new owner introduced himself and his board of directors and his kids, very nice children, by the way, good-looking kids, to all of us yesterday, he really only made mention of one host at this station, and it wasn't me or Bernard. John loves Curtis, and Juliet will have Mr. Katz and Mercedes on at 2:30 this afternoon. That's your boy, Curtis.
Well, I've known him and his wife, Margot, over 20 years in their family. They're on the board of directors of the Guardian Angels.
Wow.
But you remember, I'm joining you at MCU Park the 24th.
Right.
I'm playing right
Starting
field.
in right field, yes.
And I'll be right out if I make an error or I don't get a hit. But the last time we were at MCU Park, I was there with Sid to throw out the first ball.
And my son, Gabriel.
Right.
And John Franco from the Mets.
Remember how sick I was?
My son thought you were going to die there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it was horrible.
I collapsed after I threw the ball. They put me on the trainer's table. I couldn't move from Crohn's disease.
Forget about the trainer's table. There was one point where Nancy, she wasn't your wife yet at that time, now you're married.
Yeah.
She laid you out in the seats.
Yes.
In the stadium. I looked out the window from the suite, Bernie, and Curtis is laid out on the seats, and he was pale as a ghost, and I really, really was nervous you were going to die.
It was during that period. One day, he was scheduled to go on the air at noon, and he stayed in his office, didn't come out of his office.
Yeah.
That's how worried we were about you.
I had gone down 140 pounds.
Yeah.
And I was fading fast, and it was Margot Katzimatidis who didn't BS me. She said, we got to get you in a Columbia Presbyterian. We got to get you to the best specialist. I'm going to ask my husband to move mountains. Because, you know, those specialists, yeah, I'll see you in 6 months.
Right.
I would have been dead.
Right.
And Margot intervened, John intervened, and as you know, I had that major operation, which reconnected all the plumbing. They were talking to me about comfort care, which you know means Calvary and hospice. That's how bad it was.
And what a comeback. What a rebound you have made. I mean, you look great. You really do.
Well, thank you.
And you're killing it on the air, et cetera. You're 65 years old, I think.
65 years
old. You
old.
look like you're 45.
Well, that's because I've married a millennial hipster.
What are you sucking up to him because he's friends with the new owner?
I've said that many, many times, and plus I've always professed my love for Curtis Sliwa.
But, you know, I got to keep up with Nancy. You know, millennials and hipsters. And the 9 cats. We got the 9 rescue cats.
But not Melinda Katz.
That is correct.
A lot of cats going around.
A lot of cats. What happened there?
As you know, Melinda Katz and I, we shared a home for many years, and I've had my 2 youngest sons with her, who's Carter and Hunter.
In vitro fertilization, somewhere. Well, let's forget it.
Yeah,
let's just move on.
I made the donation in the Petri dish.
Right, okay.
Right.
But the point is that the 3 of us can resolve this issue of the all-out crazies, led by AOC, who now has her number 1 sister in solidarity, Caban, on the verge of becoming the Queen's DA.
A legal aid lawyer.
The 3 of us can resolve this, and I'll explain to you how. Because they're talking about, okay, what are we going to do to stop Caban? Melinda cannot win in the recount. Remember, I used to head a party, the Reform Party. I know what the paper ballot process is. It is technically impossible. She is going to lose. Caban is going to be declared the Democratic primary winner. Then the only hope is that the Republicans, the conservatives, join together and issue a Wilson Pakula, of which I issued many, which gives someone an opportunity now to run on their line. Now, will it be Melinda Katz, who finished second barely, or your guy, Lysak, who is like right out of central casting as a prosecutor?
Perfect.
He got killed, though.
But
he got 14%.
No. Well, let me explain the analytics.
Okay.
The likelihood is that Melinda Katz is not going to want to attack fellow Democrats who are going to jump on the bandwagon for Caban.
I agree.
She spent too much capital in 30 years.
Right.
They'll probably offer her a judgeship. I think. I don't know that. But they'll probably offer her a judgeship. She's only borough president for another year. But Lysak, he ran as a prosecutor. Everyone else ran as a public defender. So you have to talk to your people who honored you.
He's pointing at Sid.
Are you talking about Eric Ulrich?
Eric Ulrich.
And
Ariola,
John Borelli?
And the
Ariola?
Haggerty brothers, right. You got to talk to them who control this process because look how dysfunctional they've been.
By the way, I can also talk to folks in Howard Beach
Yes.
that will remain nameless,
Yes.
who have more power than any of these.
There's no doubt. And you know those, and those are my enemies. But
there is a Republican candidate already.
Really?
Right. His name is Daniel Kogan.
Right. Did you see on the website? There's a silhouette of this guy.
And as a matter of fact, when the New York Post asked him what his platform was, he laughed.
You know what he is? He's a placeholder.
Yes, I know that.
So the Republicans, the ones you support, I support the rebels who want to take over the Queens County Republican machine. But your guys have a placeholder. They assume the Cats would win. Then they'd make a deal not to run a campaign. Kogan would just be on the ballot. Cats would win, and they would get some of the surrogacy and the probate action for lawyers, Kogan being a lawyer and others. They put their beak in the chalk because that's where all the money is in politics. Surrogacy and probate battles in court when people don't fill out wills.
Nobody knows the swamp better than Sliwa.
Oh, absolutely.
So I set this up at Aldo's Pizzeria.
Wherever you want.
Okay.
But we all have to bring our cadre. Now, you bring the Queens County dysfunctional folks who can't seem to get it straight here.
Okay.
I'll bring all the rebels. But you're the most important guy, Bernard McGurk.
Okay.
Because this election cannot be won against Caban and the AOC all-out crazies without the old Joe Crowley crooked Democratic machine. Now, they say Congressman Meeks, but you know it's still Joe Crowley who pulls the strings.
Oh, yeah.
All the top guys who are the shot callers in Queens County is the Irish Mafia. I saved one of their guys' lives. Just before, remember the Imus golf tournament in Jersey?
Sure, of course.
I said to Melinda at the time, I got to go hit some balls. I'm gonna be so inept out there. I'm gonna want to kill people. So we went to the driving range right by Alley Pond Park, which is between Little Neck, Douglaston, and Bayside. Sure. And Melinda's a pretty good golfer. So we're hitting balls, and I'm getting warmed up. And Melinda goes, "Oh my God, Mike just fell into the marsh." And I go running out and I pull this guy out, half in the bag like he always is. And I saved the guy's life. And I'm going to call that card in and I'm going to say, all I want you guys to do, because you hate me, I want you to have a meeting with your lawnsman, Bernard McGurk, at a gin mill in Bayside, right on Bell Boulevard.
I'm in.
We'll resolve our differences for now. We'll go to war afterwards. But we have to stop Caban.
Be clear. Who was this guy, Mike, that you're talking about? Whose life you saved?
Reich. This guy is the controller of the crooked Crowley Irish Mafia machine.
Okay, so I have to have a sit down with this dude.
All right, so break it down again very simply. Sid's got to do what? Curtis has to do what? Bernie has to do what?
You got to bring the dysfunctional Republican county machine to the table.
Got him. Just Queens, not Brooklyn?
Just Queens.
All right.
Bernard, you have to bring the old Joe Crowley Irish Mafia to the table because they have the most weight.
Those are my people.
And I'll bring the rebels, the Republican faction. Up the rebels. You know that,
yes,
IRA,
that's right.
From Northern Queens. We'll put aside our differences and we'll say, Lasak. We got to all get behind Lasak. He's the only guy that can stop the AOC all-out crazies. And I'll be more than happy to sit down and put my humongous ego aside. I won't take my beret off.
I understand.
And we'll resolve this.
But listen, I've got a friend in Brian Sullivan who came to me about Greg Lasak 6 weeks ago. 2 weeks after that, unbeknownst to Bernie, he had a friend that came to him about the same guy. So, and we put him on. And we gave Greg an opportunity to gain an audience.
I listen, but you schmucks, you putzes, you couldn't even pronounce the guy's name.
Lasik or Lasak?
You remember that. You couldn't even pronounce it.
Well, you just said Lasak yourself.
Because everybody says Lasak.
Well, don't call us putzes.
He should just go with Lasak, because that's what everybody calls him.
Do you think he lost because Bernie and I mispronounced his name?
No, not at all.
I mean, when you listen to the conversation with Greg and me and Bernard, and we love this guy, we love him.
Oh, but he's right out of Central Castle.
Love him. But when you listen, if you didn't know him, and you listen to the conversation, do you think he afforded himself well?
Absolutely.
You do?
He basically said, this is not a public defender's office, because all of the Democrats were acting as if it's the public defender's office. He says this is the prosecutor's office. The guy was a judge. The guy headed the murder unit. When Pappy Mason and all the crazies in Southeast Queens were shooting up the 40s Project.
The Wendy's and all that.
Right, the Wendy's massacre.
No, he's the real deal. He's qualified.
This guy knows how to prosecute. The rest of them, they don't want to prosecute anybody. Do you know that Caban, who might end up being the DA, wants to close Rikers Island? Okay, that's an argument. But she doesn't want another jail in Queens. She has no intention on prosecuting anyway. She tells you, welfare fraud, we're not prosecuting it. Sex workers, pimps, sex traffickers,
I know all the
we're not
thugs and
prosecuting.
perverts, all free. Also, she wants to arrest ICE agents
Yes.
in the courthouse.
Yes. Now, Bernie, Sid, we must stop this menace.
This is serious.
Well, what if we do all this, right? Bernie gets to Bayside, which is never going to happen. I get all
Yes,
these
it is.
Queens people
You're
together.
Irish. They're all
I'm in.
Irish gin
Yeah.
mills.
So we do all these things you want us to do, which we're all too willing to do. We're very enthusiastic. What if he still loses?
No, it's going to be a hard
time to
fight.
move.
It's going to be a hard fight.
Can't
You see,
allow this.
We have to show that you're not going to roll over for AOC
Right.
like the Democrats have. They've
Right.
rolled over for her.
Right.
She's the queen of their party. And the Republicans are so dysfunctional in New York, fighting one another all the time. They have to say, look, our gig is up. We know we don't run anybody for office because we just want probate and surrogacy. In Staten Island, right? McMahon was running for re-election DA. You know, the Republicans didn't even run someone against
know
them.
that, yeah.
Why? Why? Staten Island, the only Republican borough, because they made a deal with McMahon. You scratch our bellies, we scratch yours.
Meanwhile,
It's a disgrazia, a shanda.
The city is sliding back to the 1970s because of all this dysfunction.
How do we get Rich Valdez in on this?
Oh, well, as you know, he's the guy that I promoted his candidacy.
I know.
He came up with AOC, all out crazy.
All out crazy.
That's
Great.
his line.
And he's been going into the district, AOC's district, in the Bronx and in Queens. She's never there. Never. He can beat her. He's got to go through a primary first, the Republicans, which is good. The more people in a primary, the more attention. Let all the Republicans have their say. Hopefully Rich wins. He's Puerto Rican. He speaks Spanish better than AOC.
She can't play the race card.
No, cannot play. And he's a millennial. And you know he's good with social networking because he works on the Mark Levin show.
Right.
Let's do it, guys.
Come
we
on,
can take out
let's
AOC.
get these
Up
people.
the rebels.
Up the rebels. Kabang, we're coming for you. You can't call them names because you just can't. Not in this day and age. But
No.
anyway, she is a bad person. She's going to free the thugs and perverts, and we got to stop her.
And
That's all
she
there is to
will
it.
protect MS-13.
That's right.
And look to arrest
Curtis
the
Sliwa,
ICE agents.
You are the best. I swear to
She
God.
has a Met band, though.
Really? I'm not going to Bayside.
You know who's going tomorrow?
Who?
For the 69th anniversary of the Mets?
Who?
Guess. The number one Met hater of all time. Yours truly,
can't
Curtis
say
Sliwa.
that.
I will be down on the field.
Why?
I will be with your boys, the Will Ponzis. And I'll say, how's Bernie Madoff doing in jail, huh? I'll say, hey, Art Shamsky, Hebrew Hammer, I know your boy Sid. And Kranepool, if that kidney doesn't work out, you ain't getting mine.
But you're couching it in those terms. I would say you're being a traitor to the Yankees for showing up.
Yeah, but they're in London.
Yeah.
They're in London.
Yeah, but you're still selling them out. That's when you should be sticking
They
up
don't
for.
know
it.
anything
Not-
about
not sneaking
baseball
off
in London.
to a city field. Hey, Curtis, you're great on the Bernie and Sid show on
love you.
77 WABC. We're coming right back.
Bernie and Sid in the morning. Talk Radio 77 WABC broadcast.
Ben, we're always talking to when the left is unhinged.
Ben Shapiro.
Let me suggest that you have now been completely taken over by Trump derangement syndrome.
Now weekdays at 3, 77 WABC.